case of Heitman versus the City of Mauston, the Court of Appeals imposed or enunciated that there are limitations to the use of direct legislation. And I have more than some passing familiarity with that case, since I'm the lawyer that handled that case on behalf of the City of Mauston in the Court of Appeals. I might add successfully. In that, in that case, the Court of Appeals identified at least 4 limitations on the use of direct legislation. First limitation is that direct legislation must be what is known as legislative in character. It cannot control or try to outline executive or administrative actions of the board. Second, it cannot be used to compel the board to repeal any existing ordinance or resolution, or to compel the passage of an ordinance that would be in conflict with any ordinance already in existence, such that it would act as the repeal of an existing ordinance. Third, it can only be used to exercise those legislative powers which the board already has. So it can't expand your power to do things that you couldn't otherwise do anyway. And fourth, if state statutes establish procedures or standards for the accomplishment of legislation in any certain area, direct legislation cannot be used to affect legislation that would modify those statutory procedures or directives. In this case, it's my opinion that this petition for direct legislation violates 2 of those limitations. Number 1, the proposed ordinance, in my opinion, is not purely legislative in character, but instead it is administrative in character. It seeks to establish procedures for the administration of village meetings by establishing administrative rules controlling the process for allowing citizens to speak, by establishing the length of time for public comment, by limiting the manner in which a presiding officer can conduct the meetings, by attempting to define and regulate what constitutes inappropriate conduct or speech at meetings, and by requiring the village board to receive community input prior to taking action on any substantive agenda item. These are all administrative type of activities. And indeed, the petition itself says in its opening page, it says, among other things, the proposed ordinance authorized content-neutral administrative procedures. So the petition itself admits that it is being employed to adopt administrative procedures, and that is not permitted by state case law. In addition, I believe that the proposed ordinance is improper because it conflicts with some existing ordinance. It affects administrative rules regarding, for example, the powers of the village president, who is charged with presiding over all the board meetings in section 2-2-3 and 2-2-13 of your code of ordinances. It changes the powers of the board to preserve order at meetings. It changes the duties of the presiding officer to decide all questions of order and to conduct meetings in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order. It changes the order of business to be observed during village board meetings. It changes the conduct of business at meetings, including the circumstances in which citizens can address the board. And it changes the duty of the president to control disturbances and disorderly conduct. In the Heitman case, one of the things they said is that the direct legislation can't be used to compel the passage of an ordinance that would conflict with existing ordinances. And in my opinion, this ordinance would conflict with some of your existing ordinances. So with those two things in mind, you have three options in front of you. You have the option to adopt the direct legislation, even though it is not a proper subject of direct legislation. You can still adopt this petition if you felt that it was good public policy. Your second option is to submit it to the voters, if you so chose. And your third option is to reject the petition on the grounds that it violates the rules that I've just enunciated for you. So with that in mind, you can debate the petition.
Are there any questions or discussion for Roger or Attorney Orton from the board members?
I'm not really in favor of the petition, some of the items, personally. I'm in favor of us getting back to public comment. I think that'd be very important. But I don't like the things this is outlining and asking us to do on a regular basis. I don't think that's.
Well, and I think that, I think we all are in agreement that, public comments are valid, that, are, the procedural thing is what we're looking at, rather than just the concept. And knowing how the board works, Mary Alice sets the agenda, and I think that's where we have to, work within those confines. And I think that, being told through this petition, as our attorney kind of talked about, is kind of handcuffs us basically through this process, so.
I agree. I'd like to see us, once again revisit putting public comment back on the agenda, and I think it's something all of us want to do. We want to hear from the citizens of Necedah, but like Chris said, we don't like to be told you have to do it this way by someone that was not elected by the people of the village.
I think in the past, the village has always, liked to hear from the, public, for their interests and and then we ended up at the point where we're at, and I think we all would like to see, like Chris said, come back, but have a procedural of, so we don't end up in the same boat again.
And we do have an ordinance that is, we have, I don't know the right words to use, not suspended.
We had a draft one that we rescinded.
Yeah, that we rescinded, yeah. Yep, thank you, Roger. And I agree, public comment is important. It needs to be, it does help with the running of the village and with the decision making. So, is there any other questions for Roger or for Attorney Orton? We'd be, entertain a motion. Does anybody wish to take a motion? Otherwise, I will make a motion. I make a motion that the proposed ordinance is an inappropriate exercise of direct legislation and that the board reject the petition. This would be a roll call vote.
Did you get a second on it yet?
I second the motion.
So we have a motion by President Mary Laswell, seconded by Trustee Stivers, to, that the proposed ordinance is an inappropriate exercise of direct legislation and should be rejected. Roll call vote, Roger?
Stivers,
Yes.
Sailor,
Yes.
Lasswell,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Murphy.
Okay. The final item, the performance data of the village clerk administrator, in your packets was a survey. If you could fill that out, and then that will be reviewed. You have to fill it out and return it to me, and then that will be reviewed at the March 9th? March village board meeting. I'm not sure if it's on the 9th. I can tell you. So.
March 9th.
March 9th, okay, yep. Okay. Seeing as there's no other business for the board, we'll adjourn at 8:01.